Yeah, greetings, revolutionary greetings, comrades. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Comrade Pejino Dimungu. Of course, I'm part of the coordinating team for CSG, which is basically a consciousism study group. We are a philosophical study group that deals with the study of Kwame Nkrumah's ideology. And so we meet today to proceed with our studies as usual. We do read the book consciousism, then from there we share our thinking. So we basically go paragraph per paragraph, and yes, today we will proceed with where we left it. So once again, feel most welcome, and more of the people will be joining us or will be watching our recording. Feel most welcome as well. Feel free to share your comments. I've seen many people engaging us on our YouTube channel where they share their comments. We really appreciate that work, so feel most welcome. Continue sharing your comment with us. So today we will proceed with our reading from where we left last time as we look and analyze at Aristotle's philosophy. But before I move ahead, permit me to recognize the presence of members who are with us here so far. We have Brother Carrington, we have Sir Windog from Namibia, Brother Carrington, of course, from Kenya and also in UK. We have Brother General Anunaki Raspala from South Africa, and our very own chair, Brother Christian Komiagonza. Brother Kwame, please feel free to share with us your opening remarks if you are able, so that we can proceed.
Oh, yes. Are you recording it?
Yes, the class is recorded.
Okay. No, just to say good greetings, everyone. Good to be here. Yeah, let's proceed. Brother Pigeon. Yeah, carry on.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. Just confirm for me if you can see the reading, because
Yes, I can.
I've been having some challenges with the Zoom, and it has
Yeah.
happened that I'm now connecting on a web Zoom. So in my
Yeah,
interface,
that's fine.
it plays two of them.
Yeah, it's fine. I
Okay.
can read it. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. So I'm switching from faces to faces anyway.
Mm.
So, yes, comrades, this is our reading, the highlighted text. And as usual, we will ask one of our members who is willing actually to read for us the brief text. Of course, if we finish this, we can move to the next paragraph. And as I've said, this is a continuation of our reading. So what we do, we read the book paragraph per paragraph. And this is a continuation of where we left in last time. So Brother Raspala, I don't know if you're in a position to read, or Brother Carrington, any of you, please let me know. Okay, brother,
Yeah, brother.
Brother Carrington.
Yeah.
I'm happy to read. Yeah, I'm happy to read.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
Yeah.
will be great.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
happy to read.
Brother
So,
Kwame,
yes,
please read for us.
thank you. So here we go. According to Aristotle, the state is not a mere aggregate of men, but a union of individuals bent on a common goal through cooperative action. It has for its purpose the pursuit of the highest good. Men, he, however, said, are not the same and do not perform the same functions in the pursuit of this common goal. At the same time, no man can by his single exertions bring about the highest good. The state is therefore founded upon an interdependence of men pursuing the same ultimate goal. Full stop.
Thank you, Brother Kwame. Thank you very much. Just to alert a few briefly on what part of the things that are to be of our discussion based on the text today. Basically, as I've said once again, we are looking at the Aristotle's concept of the state. That's where we are today. Aristotle concept of the state, and basically we'll be covering things of his concept on the state as a cooperative, We'll be looking at the role of individuals in the state. We'll be looking at the pursuit of the highest goal, and we'll be looking at the interdependence of individuals. So this is all that we have to look at today, and we ask, and as usual, ask members to please feel free to share their thinking in regards to this text. Let me start my list, Brother Kwame, once again. It's brief, so I hope we won't have to reread it again, but anybody is free to reread it as it is on the screen. But let me start by asking Brother Sir Windhoek to share his thinking on how Aristotle sees the state and anything in regards to this text. Sir Windhoek?
Once again, Pan-African greetings.
Greetings, comrade.
And maybe before I share my thoughts, I'm just having a small question here. The traditional cooperatives that we have, like agricultural cooperatives or cooperatives of whatever nature, are they modeled after the functioning of a state? It's just but a question in passing.
Yes. Okay, let me answer that. So Aristotle is not referring to associations. You can call them sub-national associations, like the cooperatives of in agriculture, cooperatives amongst producers, or cooperatives of consumers, and so on. That's not what Aristotle is referring to. The cooperative here, it's actually cooperative action, and the idea is that the modern state, if you remember, the modern state started when we were just families, and then from families we evolved into clans, and then from clans we grouped into bigger and bigger and bigger groups, and ultimately the state as a collection of, if you like, families and clans. So the idea here is that that state, as it is because all of us, or the groups in it, have agreed that we will cooperate together. So it's a kind of cooperative action that we recognize that as individuals we can't survive as individuals because we are social beings. Therefore, we need to cooperate together. So some of you should be farmers, and we shouldn't all be farmers. We shouldn't all be fishermen. We shouldn't all be soldiers. Some of us, let's have division of labor. Some of us should be soldiers. Some of us should be farmers. Some of us should be fishermen. And then through that cooperation, we can exist, or we can live and achieve our goal in life. And our goal in life is what he called the highest good, and the word is eudaimonia. So that is the highest good. So individuals acting by themselves, separately, if we act separately, you are the farmer, you the same person are the fisherman, you the same person are the blacksmith or the goldsmith, you the same person, you are the husband. If you're going to be doing all of this, you cannot have the best life or the good life. But if we come together and we work cooperatively, then we can attain we can pursue the highest good. So that is what, Brother Windhoek, that is what Plato, Aristotle is referring to. That idea, that principle is, of course, is the same principle by which cooperatives, like the cooperative associations of farmers, of maybe coffee farmers, or butter farmers, or consumers is the same principle that, and also in banks, some banks are cooperative banks, is the same idea. And why don't we cooperate together, work together to pursue the highest good? I hope that kind of answers the question. Brother Windhoek.
Yes, I got you.
Okay.
And therefore, the subsequent question is it befitting to say the state is a union of individuals rather than a union of all these that you have enumerated above?
Yeah, that's a very good question. That is what the pigeon is asking to share your view on. What do you think about what Aristotle says? I mean, what is your thinking? That is why Brother Pigeon is asking you. So yeah. So you share your thinking on that, and then we hear everybody else's, as Brother Pigeon has asked, and then we'll come to some kind of view. There are those who think that Aristotle is wrong, and there are those who think that he's not. So yeah, let's hear your thinking, as Brother Pigeon said. Thank you.
Yeah, my thinking is it ought to have been an aggregation of many things, the banks, the cooperatives, the everything, so that everybody could be included in the pursuit of this highest good. Otherwise, in my opinion, we are just talking of the natural beings, unlike the natural persons, unlike the unnatural persons.
Brother Windhoek, Sir Windhoek.
Yes, I'm here.
Now, what do you mean by the aspect of unnatural persons? Like when you have said individuals, do the word individuals to you mean that there's some people have been left who are not referred as individuals? Or are you talking of non-living things like goats, animals, buildings, and the rest constituting to a state?
Not necessarily animals, like corporate institutions. Do they also fall under individuals? And cooperatives, like we have said, do they also fall under individuals? Are they aggregated to being individuals?
But
Okay.
what do you think?
Okay, hold on.
Because
So hold on.
yes,
So the question you've asked, Brother Windhoek, can be answered in modern law, in say corporate law. A company, although it's made up of different individuals, can be treated as a person and therefore as an individual. So every company is in law an individual. So I hope that answers your question. Now,
Okay.
that is not to say that during Aristotle's time, because I don't know, that within Greek law, there was even such a thing as a company. I doubt that very much. Yeah, but in modern law, the company or a registered cooperative in law, when they go to court, for instance, will be treated as individuals. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, then I have the background that most probably in those times, companies, as you said, were most likely non-existent. Is that what I understood?
Well,
And therefore,
I'll doubt very much. I mean, let's hear from what others think. I doubt very much that in this era in Greek society that they will have what today is effectively, companies, limited liability companies. I doubt that very much.
okay, Brother
Because
Windhoek.
limited
That's
liability
my-
companies are
that's
modern institutions.
that's my
Okay,
thought and for now.
okay, thank you. Thank you for that, Brother Carrington. Brother Carrington, look at this
Yes.
state and help me put a reference on what we are witnessing as our state today. But feel free to proceed.
So
Yeah,
thank you
proceed.
very much, Brother Pigeon. The point of this text, this paragraph, in my opinion, the way I see it, is to emphasize this idea of, and Aristotle Brother Kwame can correct me if it is not Aristotle who said this, but I think it is him who said system is greater than the sum of its parts. If I take a body, we previously talked about a body and the functions of different organs of the body in the doing of their work lead to the body being healthy. Similarly for bicycles, for example. If I take a much less graphic example of bicycles, if I take the handlebar and the lamp and the wheels and just pile them up, pile all these parts of a bicycle up, I will not end up with a bicycle that will take me to Osumo Market, Kisumu. I will end up with a heap of junk. But I need to organize these things in a certain way, such as they are greater than the sum, the system, the thing that will come out is greater, can do more than the sum of its parts, can do more than all its parts taken together naively.
Yeah, Brother Carrington,
Yes.
let me come in there so that you can continue.
Yeah.
You asked if Aristotle said that.
Yeah.
And the answer is yes.
Oh.
It's translated that he said the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And this is commonly, but apparently the term itself, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, is commonly misattributed to Aristotle. But there are words in his text called the Metaphysics, where he said the totality is not as it were a mere heap. This is a translation, by the way, but the whole is something besides the parts. And then in Euclid's contribution, Euclid wrote the elements
In the geometry,
geometry, and then he also said the phrase "the whole is greater than the part" actually comes from Euclid's elements.
And Euclid was African.
He was an African mathematician, yes.
And that's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. So Aristotle in his Metaphysics says something like that, but the actual phrase comes from Euclid. Thank you.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you, Brother Kwame. That's I'll try research more on that. Yeah, it's very interesting. So yes, back to that big idea that you need a system, you need a way of organization that allows the different organs of the body, the heart to pump blood to all of the other parts of the body, the brain to give instructions, the lungs to supply oxygen, the mouth to supply oxygen to the lungs. You need all of these systems to be arranged in a very specific way for your body to be functional and healthy. And similarly for the bicycle. Hence, therefore, I'm trying to lead to a point of the importance of what we call laws, what we call traditions, what we call customs. I hope now you can see why the disruption of customs, laws, and traditions of a society are equivalent to destroying that society. I hope the connection can be made. It's like dismembering the bicycle or the body. And that can be applied to trying to understand, as Brother Pigeon was talking about, the state of Kenya. It has been dismembered and reconstituted using a system that is not of its own, and therefore it is dysfunctional to a certain degree and helpful to a certain degree to the people it is supposed to serve, this system. So, secondly, there has to be that recognition that organs serve different roles, but this does not mean that you can lose your organs trivially. You cannot take one wheel because it just does the job of rolling by and remove it, or the brake from the bicycle. It will make the system less functional, and over time, actually the system will be more dangerous. I would like to apply that to the state of a country under a dictatorship where everything is coming from one person, one human being. That country tends to be very, very unstable, specifically because of this. Other organs are suppressed in the interest of the brain because everybody thinks that the brain is the most important thing. Nonetheless, the long-term health of that system is very low because specifically all other organs, the police, the church, the mosques, the judiciary, the parliament must be allowed to function and to function independently, but interdependently, which brings back to the last point of interdependence, that the liver, as much as it is powerful in cleaning the bloodstream, really, really needs the brain, really, really needs lungs to supply oxygen and therefore energy for it to do its work. So all these systems are interacting with each other. And in a society where this dependence, people pretend like this dependence does not exist. People are isolated from the rest of the society. A society of isolated people is thus unhealthy, specifically because of this, because society depends on the systematic interaction of human beings. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Kwame, do you have anything to say in regards to, or any follow-up question to Brother Carrington?
Yeah, I don't know. But if I heard you right, you're endorsing Aristotle's position. Is that correct?
Yes, I agree. Can I say something like 80% with this position?
But is it true that society is an aggregation of individuals?
Actually, isn't he rejecting that society is not an aggregation, but a union?
Well, that's my question. Is that true though?
Yes.
You don't think society is a union of groups?
I think society is a union of groups, just the way the body is a union of organs.
But then he's saying they are individuals.
Mm.
And in those individuals, remember, he discounts other individuals who are slaves. So if that society, if Greek society accepts that others cannot contribute to the truth, because they are naturally inferior, and therefore it is right to enslave them. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. So my understanding of that is that, simply stated, Aristotle did not take his ideas to their ultimate extreme. So this is what happens when you take these ideas to the ultimate extreme, that you say something simple like, even though I might have the opinion that the brain is better than the liver, okay? I might have this opinion. Nonetheless, without the liver, the long-term health of the brain cannot be secured. Without the farmers, the long-term health of the ruling class, the brain, cannot be secured. And therefore, for this reason, all these people, the police, the army, all these people have definite important roles to play. And therefore, from this functional picture of society, it means that fundamentally, there's an equality which should not be confused with similarity. The brain is not similar to the liver, but nonetheless, there's an equality because they're both needed for the body to function.
Yeah, but Aristotle's position is that the human individuals are not fundamentally equal. The reason some have to perform certain functions is precisely because they are inferior. They are subhuman.
That is the mistake Aristotle is making.
But is it a mistake, Brother Carrington? Is it a mistake, or that is his philosophical position?
Yeah,
that he needs to justify Greek society in the way in which it is functioning.
Yes, it is. So this specific picture, this specific ontology, this philosophy in this paragraph is at its core correct. except for two problems. One, it talks about men, and we are familiar that this is exactly half the body if you think about society as a body. Second, as you've spoken about, and we have spoken about in previous paragraphs, the problem of slavery. So these two problems are basically him poorly implementing this idea to Greek society in my head. That is how I look at it. He is poorly implementing the idea that we are a union of actors with the different functions, but as important to each other. He's poorly implementing that idea in Greek society. He's saying the body, yes, is the product of the union of the liver, the brain, and the lungs, and the blood vessels. But the blood vessels are inferior. That is why they serve the function of supplying oxygen to all parts of the body. That is an inferior job, to which I disagree. It's a misapplication of the philosophy.
Okay, so in terms of the chapter philosophy and society that we are reading, the chapter basically is about the fact that we need to see the relationship between philosophy and society.
Yes.
That the kind of society you want must is what should engender the kind of philosophy you put in place.
Yes.
But Aristotle here is reading. He's looking at the society in which he lives, and he's coming up with a philosophy, not to challenge the society, because he's saying slavery is fine, but he wants to say that the society in which he's living is okay. The point I am making is that others are being left out.
Yes.
When he says the state is not a mere aggregate of men, but a union of individuals bent on a common goal through cooperative action. But are slaves part of this common goal?
So there comes.
So hold on. So for instance, when did the slaves say that they are happy to be slaves, and they're happy to be slaves, so it's okay for those at the top, the goal that they have come up with. I mean, how did the common goal arrive if some of us are slaves?
That is the question now. So it is not enough, in my opinion, even if let's say conscientism is abstracted completely into abstract compact philosophy. Let's say that it is not enough to say we have this system of thought, and if you just take this system of thought and put it to your country, use it in your country, things will go well. We have seen that with Marxism, we have seen that with socialism, we have seen that with various forms of African socialism, modern African socialism. All these systems have failed or not done as well as they were expected to because of misapplication of philosophies. So it is how you apply a philosophy is as important as how you formulate it, essentially.
But you see, fine. But what I'm saying is that, you see, Aristotle is not now about to create a new society in which he will apply this philosophy, which is what we are faced with as Africans. Because Nkrumah is saying to us that we have inherited a post-colonial society in which is not what we want. So we need to create a new society. Okay, in that case, what philosophy should we use to create this new society? That is not what Aristotle is doing. Aristotle is looking at the society in which he lives and saying that this is what it is. So what he's describing here is what he says his society is. Is he so? And in that society, he doesn't think. He thinks that some human beings, like in an animal farm, some are more equal than others. Anyway,
but I still feel he just didn't go all the way with his ideas. If he had gone all the way, he'd have become a revolutionary. But I might be mistaken.
Okay, Brother Carrington, thank you. I just want to ask a question here. What is the difference between men and individuals, to your understanding?
So, the important in this context, my opinion is that there is no difference. The Osagefo just switched the terms, but individual is a very heavy word, as we have discovered in our continuous discussions. I can remove the liver and hold it, my liver. I can remove it and hold it in my hand. And it is an individual liver. It is something that can be separated physically from the rest of the body. Okay? But, however, it does not follow that it should be physically separated from the rest of the body, because it will degenerate and die, and the body will also degenerate and die in the long run. So individual must be qualified, in my opinion. It must be calibrated. Yes.
So when this is actually, Nkrumah is saying this is according to Aristotle.
Yes.
So not according to how Nkrumah tried to twist the words. But when we talk aggregate of men, that's a group of people, not man, not aggregate of man, aggregate of men, but a union of individuals. Union of individuals and aggregate of men.
So the reason I'm saying that, he goes ahead, the paragraph goes ahead and says, at the same time, no man can by his single exertions bring about the highest good. So my personal opinion, and I'll stick with it, is that he's using these terms interdependently, individuals and men.
Okay, can I, Brother Pigeon, if it's okay, can I come in there? I think we shouldn't put our physicists too much on the spot here. We need to hear what others have to say. But can I just make a distinction? So Aristotle, when he uses individuals and man, he's not talking about the same thing. You see, that's not what he means. Because Aristotle believes that humans are by nature political animals. That's what he believes. And let's remember what we read earlier, that Aristotle believes that while humans have the capacity to reason, not all individuals fully develop or utilize this capacity. So let's remember that Aristotle actually believes that some individuals can be naturally inferior. So when he uses the term individuals and humans, there is a difference. Yeah. So let's bear that in mind. Thank you.
Fair. But in this context, I will have to disagree. But yeah, that is the point of the discussion, I guess. Yeah.
It's fine to disagree, but we have a basis to disagree. Because he is saying that see, he says a state is not a mere aggregate of men, but a union of individuals. That tells you that he doesn't see the aggregate of men as the same as the union of individuals, because there are some men that cannot be individuals because they don't have the capacity to be humans. You see,
that's a good interpretation. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Some don't have the capacity to be humans, even though they are individuals. And so he's not seeing individuals and men. I mean, we can argue, like you said, well, what about women, and children? So, but that's a different argument. Yeah.
Okay, Brother Carrington, are you okay for now?
Yeah, I'm happy just to say that I still can pick up some good ideas from Aristotle. There's something he's going. He just didn't get the all the way through. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, can I? I hope you don't mind. So you pick some good things from Aristotle. Well, so do the Israelis, who say that the people of Gaza are not humans, that they are animals. So of course,
the Osagefo had some bad ideas. The Osagefo had some bad ideas. Kenyatta had some bad ideas, good ideas. So we learn from the mistakes of all who come before us.
I don't disagree. I'm just saying that.
Yeah. So I disagree with that inferiority philosophy, but I agree with this philosophy.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Just Brother Carrington. Sorry, Brother Kwame. Brother Carrington. Just to let you know that when Aristotle talks about at the same time no man, here he avoids to use the word individual. He talks of no man can by his single assertion bring about the highest good. Why did he not talk about no individual, while here he refers to be union of individual and not man? And that's why I'm feeling that he's not using these words to mean the same thing. There's a total distinction when Aristotle tried to use men and individual.
Fair. I will say I don't know, but
Okay.
I stick with. I think they're interchangeable in this context, but I might be mistaken. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We've actually, so Brother Kwame, if you permit me, let me go to Brother General Nunaki.
Yeah, please. Let's hear what others think. Thank you.
General Nunaki, what do you think about this? Then I'll go to Sister Ida Swen.
Yes, son of the lake. Give thanks, man. You give thanks to the African female. Yeah. Also, me too, I hear what the brother is saying here, the physicist man, you see. Because, yeah, even if as I, my contributions I made in the other lessons was that the black man is not a human being, and therefore is not equal to any other sort of a homogeneous or homo sapien on earth. So that is the only place where I agree with this guy, Aristotle, that men are not equal. And then I want to comment also on this thing of the aggregate of men and the union of individuals. When I check the dictionary, when I check this word aggregate, is a group of individuals. Let me just read it for you. It says here, aggregate, a mass assemblage or sum of particulars, something consisting of elements but considered as a whole. You see. So on that case, also that one, I agree that these two words are almost the same, but they're not talking about the same thing in this context. So yeah, that's where I'll stop for now.
Okay, that's part you've said we black people are actually not equal to men. We are not equal to Homo sapiens and Homo sapiens sapiens. we are basically above them.
Yes.
Okay, nothing. Okay. Brother Kwame?
Well, I mean, we hear Raspala and we hear what he has to say, but let's also I must admit I hear Brother Raspala all the time. I am not I do not pretend to understand everything he understands, because he comes to us with a unique understanding of African history, which he will share with us, I think, at some point. When he has his presentation day on a Saturday, he will share with us. He also says that, Brother Raspal also says that Constantism is correct in its philosophical position. So my understanding of that is that it's our position that idealism is believes in hierarchy. The hierarchy of beings, or the hierarchy of humans in our society, and that hierarchy. There can be a hierarchy. You can say that there's a hierarchy, but that hierarchy is not based on a scientific fact that some are humans and some are non-humans, or that some people are not human beings or do not come from the same matter. So in society, you can have a company where there's a CEO, there is a director of this, there is a cleaner in the company, but those are the economic functions of that company. It's not based on the idea that the cleaner is inferior as a human being from the CEO. So there isn't a fundamental equality of men and women. Yeah, the woman who is making tea, the tea lady, is not fundamentally unequal to the CEO as a human being. And so that is our position, that all humans are equal. Now, if Raspala is saying that the African is not human, as I said, I don't pretend to understand everything he says. So that's something you'll have to explain to us. But as far as we know, all humans on this planet, I don't know about our other planets, but on this planet on which we live, all humans come from the same matter. But what Raspala tells us is that there are a group of beings, they look human, but they are not from this planet. Well, if they're not from this planet, then maybe they don't have the same matter as us. So I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Ras, it seems we will have to get your understandings on nature of who is an African and who is black people and the rest. But thank you for your contribution in regards to this text for now. Permit me to get to Sister Ida. Sister Ida?
Hello, good evening, everyone. What can I say? It's very short what you've highlighted. And I think I'll start at the end where it says, no man can, by his single exertions, bring about the highest good. Because he says that, but then at the same time, he's also telling us that the state is about a whole load of men, not just one man sort of thing, an aggregate of men, but a union of individuals bent on a common goal through cooperative action. So I find what he's saying, it sounds like it's all going in the same direction, but he says it's founded on an interdependence of men pursuing the same ultimate goals. But I think in real life, I don't know that that is true, because quite often it looks like single individuals try to use their charisma to take a whole load of people with them, and that a lot of things are based on people's whether they're wrong or right, they're based on their charisma for a long time. And then the flaws start to set in or start to be seen. I'm not sure what quite to make of this, because I think that in true life, half the time it is single individuals that seem to carry the who seem to grandstand and carry the weight of the public with them. And then when they're found faulty or with feet of clay, then they fall, and their government or their movements fall with them. So I think that's what I would say. I'm not really sure what I think of what Aristotle says, though he seems to have been the giant of a lot of modern philosophy, or a lot of modern things that have been created via his what he thinks. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah, I hear you, but I want to ask you, Sister Ida, if you look at our current states today, Ghana, Kenya, UK, do they look like what Aristotle is describing here? Are they
yes.
really?
Well, that's why I say that a lot of it is based on individuals being taking power. He says no man can by his single exertions bring about the highest good. And I think that if you look around, you see a lot of men taking the public or taking their people with them for a little while, and seeming as though they're inspired and they have lots of change. that they want to see. But after a while, you find that no, what they're saying isn't true, or that it's riddled with holes, and that they're just leading people up the garden path. And therefore, at the end of the day, their ideas fall, or they don't, they don't stand the test of time. Is my opinion. And that applies to Kenya, Ghana, and whichever other country you stated.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for
Thank you.
that briefing. Sorry for that brief interjection. Okay, thank you. Brother Kwame, do you have anything to Sister Ida?
Yes, Sister Ida, you make a critical observation. So from what you said, do you think we could say that Aristotle, because Brother Carrington agrees with Aristotle, so does Brother Raspala. So could it be that Aristotle is based on what you said, Sister Ida, that Aristotle is drawing our attention to something, which is that actually, when you see any state, it may turn out that it is driven by an aggregate of men, is driven by a union of certain individuals. Not all the individuals, but a group of individuals. Call them whatever you like, corporates, monarchists, businessmen, from the same tribe, from the same nationality, Nazis, call them whatever you like. But be that's what this is drawing our attention to.
Well, I hadn't thought of it like that, but possibly. That's why I say I hear him and I see what he's written. But at the same time, more often than not, it would seem that the people who get the power will get people around them who will put them at the top. But at the end of the day, it's they fail. They fail because the truth isn't necessary. Even though they've got all these people around them agreeing with them, half the time their truth isn't real truth. It's just.
So you're saying that it's all an appearance of a union. That they're not really,
it might take a long time till they are totally discovered,
right,
or that it totally fails. I mean, why I think part of why I say that is that today I was hearing bits to do with the Grenada Revolution, and when you hear of like, for instance, Maurice Bishop was so admired, and so he was an inspirational talker. Sorry, I shouldn't really be bringing this in, but he's what made me realize that people like him, and also I think there's a book on Rawlings out at the moment. People like Rawlings, people like a lot of people who are big names, they start or generate a sort of revolution and a sort of fervor that gets a lot of people around them. But at the end of it, it's not necessary that they talk the talk, but they don't necessarily fully walk the walk, or they're not fully. And also a lot of the big leaders in Africa who've stayed more than 30, 50 years or whatever, you wonder how they manage. But then when you start looking at their policies and stuff, the talk has been there, but it hasn't. I mean, look at Idi Amin. He stayed there, and a lot of his people followed him for a long time. And then, along the way, they all fail. Even Gaddafi. I'm sorry, everybody who likes Gaddafi and thinks he's one of the great African leaders. Even he failed because he was brought down. But it makes you wonder if you look carefully at some of his policies in the past, would have stood up to the test of. It doesn't have to be him. You can pick anybody. Pick any single leader. even Nkrumah, even though he's written this book, at the end of the day, when you start, their policies don't necessarily always last the test of time, go through the test of time. Though the one thing I would say about Nkrumah is he's left his mark in the books he's written, because you have those books to keep his legacy going. Whereas the rest, like you keep telling us about, oh, you don't think other people have written. And I think that maybe is the difference. And maybe Aristotle, the difference is that, yes, we know about him because he's written things. Same applies to Garvey. He's written things. But all these big names, half the time, something falls down. Sorry, I can say no more. Because I think I'm digging a hole for myself, but
okay, Sister Ida.
Thank you.
It's very interesting. Of course, apart from the books, you coming from Ghana, you know what Nkrumah left. Whether the industry survived or they died, it's not to be blamed on him. But he really set up a lot of structures and infrastructures that a country could depend on. And I don't think there's any leader in the continent who moved an extra mile to set up such infrastructures. So it's not only the book he left us with, he left us with structures that could work for our society. But unfortunately,
as soon as he had gone, so most of them had gone as well. That's
so
I think that's what I'm trying to say, that things don't last the test of time.
Okay.
They might.
You see, that's why I was saying that, Sister Ida, what you're saying is, could it be that you are drawing our attention to the fact that actually what Aristotle is saying is not what is happening, that the state is not really a union of individuals, that they don't have goals.
Yes, I think that's what I'm. Yes, I think you're right.
That goals are sometimes competing. You might want to build a welfare state. Somebody else hates a welfare state and wants the money for himself and his family only. So he or she is looking for ways to bring you down. So I'm saying this because Raspal said he thinks that that Aristotle is right, and so is our physicist. So then that's what I'm asking. Could it be that is what Aristotle is drawing our attention to? That whereas the state ought to be a union of individuals, in actual fact, it may not be.
Brother Com, it's very interesting.
In which case, shouldn't that be what we should aim for? That if we are going to have a democracy that works for us all, then it must be a democracy in which all the individuals or all the aggregate of men and women have a share in those goals. In other words, the state represents their goals. If not, the state will not survive.
I can only answer that by being reminded of something that happened. I think it was with something to do with Algeria, I think, and their revolution of how they wanted to overthrow. I think they wanted to overthrow maybe imperialists or whatever.
He's a friend. So basically, France said Algeria was part of France, and the Algerians said Algeria is not part of France. So there was a civil war.
But you see, the bit, I mean, the bit that I'm remembering was when we were told, I mean, this was just a class that I was in, when we were being told about the fact that anybody who didn't agree with the Algerian revolution, the Algerians themselves were prepared to kill them almost.
Yeah, that's a civil war. So, so the society divides into whatever groups. There are some that agree, some disagree, and then that's what civil war is. So you have the heart. The heart refuses to pump blood to the brain, and the brain refuses to direct the heart, and so there's civil war. And that is what sickness is, isn't it? When there's civil war in the body, then we are sick.
Okay. Brother Kwame, you've raised a very interesting question that as I take the next speaker, Sister Tapua, to come in and share thinking, I'm also looking at what you're saying, whether
Sister Tapua is not here. I think she's
She's
dropped out.
dropped again.
Yeah.
Okay. As you are raising this concern, whether is what Aristotle talking about here should be the practical type of a society or a state we should be having, and the aspect that no single individual that has been pointed severally can then bring the highest good of a society. But have we not seen also single individuals that have brought down a country in terms of leaders who have totally destroyed a country? So if it doesn't take more than an individual to build a country, how about it taking an individual to destroy it?
So these are part of not to build, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So to destroy it doesn't need cooperation, but to build needs cooperation.
Precisely. To destroy it, you can destroy. Yeah, precisely.
Okay.
But the current hand is up, by the way, Chair.
Okay, let me. Okay, Brother Carrington, I'm coming to Sister Myra immediately after you, please. Brother Carrington, then Sister Myra.
Just a quick statement. It also needs cooperation to destroy a country. If the two generals had decided they want to fight each other of Sudan, and then the soldiers tell them, very good, you want to fight each other? There is that boxing ring. Put on your gloves, fight each other. Whoever comes out alive will be the president. Feel free. There would have been no civil war in Sudan. It needs cooperation to destroy a country.
Like now Ruto and Raila is doing.
Yes, and the Kenyans who are following them, celebrating them at all cost because it pays their bills. They are cooperating in the destruction, the slow destruction of Kenya. Yes.
But you see, you say destruction, but they will see it as pursuing their highest good. The highest good for themselves.
The same way a cancer cell is pursuing its highest good. Yes. Yes, but eventually
okay,
we are stretching this idea too far, but yeah.
Okay, Brother Carrington, thank you for that, because I think following on that, when President Ruto today backtracked on his idea to sell the airport and also the deals with Adani, which actually took people like myself and the rest who went even to the airport to demonstrate, then can you call that it has now taken a union of individuals to collectively protect and build a nation, which can also, what you can argue about?
You are the white blood cells of Kenya.
Okay, thank you. So you have the red as well. Sister Myra, Sister Myra, are you able to share your thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah, please do.
I came late, but I've been listening to news. So for me, what jumps out at me in this graph is the last sentence said, therefore founded upon an interdependence of men pushing the same goal. And then there's been a discussion about what a state is.
So, Sister Mara, just so you know, your sound is not very clear, just so you know. Yeah.
Hang on. Is that better?
Much better, yes.
Okay. So, I'm going to comment in my feedback. I'm going to comment on some of what the discussion that Brother Kwame and Brother Carrington had, and the word men here. I think Brother Kwame touched on the word men and individuals when Brother Pigeon had asked the question. Aristotle was building on what Plato had built up, and to them, the only thinking being in all the universe was the European man. The rest were the individuals.
Sister Myra, remember there was no Europe at this point, yeah? So be mindful of that.
Was The
There was
peers,
there was
what I
no
call them.
there was no Europe when these guys were writing. Yeah. Just bear that in mind. Thank you.
Can I say their kin?
No, just say Greeks.
Greeks.
Yeah,
Were
because
the only
they were talking about Greeks. And remember, the Greeks were not all did not have the same skin tone. There was a variety. There, I mean, Euclid was an African, but he was also Greek.
So the Greek man was the one that could think. The rest, their thinking abilities were, dubious at best to them.
Sorry,
right?
Sister Mara, once again. So bear in mind that the society had aristocrats and Greek aristocrats, and it had slaves.
Yeah.
And the slaves were not necessarily Greeks. But the slaves could not vote, and so on and so forth. And they did, as you know, did all the work. And so the Greek aristocracy is, if you like, at the top in terms of the hierarchy, and the slaves were at the bottom.
So Aristotle was saying that only those well-off people could think.
Yes, the aristocracy.
Yeah, the aristocracy.
And the reason is that they had time on their hands. They weren't washing plates. They were not in the farm. They were not fighting. So they actually had time. They are what we today call the leisure class. Those who have so much time on their hands, they can go and party and go to clubs and and do things and so on. I mean, because they have so much time on their hands. Those of us who are on the plantation, we have to wake up, go to work, come home. We don't have a lot of time to think. But those who have all the time because they don't do any work, the leisure class, they just have a lot of time on their hands.
But I can't help but link this to contemporary European thinking. Because
yes, and that is what we want to do. And also to the contemporary African situation. So in that sense, you are right. Yeah.
So Aristotle was creating a kind of superior class of these aristocrats that could think, right? And they are the ones that had the abilities to do these functions or to attain goals for the state.
Well, I mean, you could say it's not that they had the ability, because all men and women have the ability to do things. I mean, of course, not all of us have the opportunity to do those things, but then, inherently, all human beings are equal in the sense that they can. What you can do, I can do. Of course, there are specializations where there are things that you can do that I can do. Both natural and economic. Yes, we accept that. There are things that if you learn a trade, say you are a whatever trade you are, and you've learned that trade, and you are a master or a mistress of that trade, and that is not my trade. Of course, I can't do what you can do. Yeah, but those are functional differences. They are not inherently human. Yeah.
If for me, I extend this to the white supremacist system that we're under now, right? Where I see it as, even now, it is this type of thinking that is now, it used to be Greek and then the Europeans took it on. This type of thinking that allowed them to then come to Africa to think for us.
But then if we are saying
and their religion and their everything.
Samara, but if we are saying that there is no such thing as Greek philosophy, that they took our philosophy, could it be that the Africans also had such thoughts? That is where they got it from.
They took it, they rejigged it, and then they sold it back to us. And we thought it was new, that everything was new. but it's now to a point where we use their thinking as our frame of reference, which is part of the problem.
Okay, Brother Kwame?
No, I was just commenting on Sister Mara, just trying to, where necessary, for example, some of the notions to say that. So, for example, Europe did not exist at the time, so we need to talk in terms of their context. But of course, it's okay to bring, because we're looking at Aristotle now, because these ideas still prevail. So we have to look at these ideas in the context in which we live. Yes.
So these ideas still prevail, and also linked to that idea of how this thinking still prevails. The thinkers like Plato and Aristotle were very intentional about the kind of society that they wanted. They knew exactly what type of society they wanted to bring about. So if they thought that there are some people, like you said, yes, they had time to think because the others were on the plantation. They created that philosophy to justify that kind of existence. And then they extended it through the centuries to where we are now. So what I'm trying to say, to them in their thinking, there was no mistake in their thinking. To them, it might appear different to us, but to them, they know, and they still know exactly what kind of society and systems that they want to put in place.
Yeah, I mean, so let's bear in mind why we are reading what we are reading.
Yeah.
So in this stage of the reading, within the context of the entire chapter, what we are reading is we are looking at why the church, having put aside Plato, because it wasn't working for them anymore, now turn to Aristotle, and as their philosopher, in order to continue the domination by the church. That is what we are reading here. So when we are reading this, let's bear that in mind, that what are we reading here that the church used in order to...
I think it still does, Brother Kwame. Up to now. So what I was getting at is, if they were that intentional in whatever, in that society, in the society that they built that still has persisted, then us as African philosophers also have to be intentional about the societies that we want to see among the global melanated people.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one question, Sister Myra.
Yeah.
I understand the last part when it talks about the state is therefore founded upon an interdependence. The word interdependence, I don't know if my understanding is correct with it, but during my studies, I was told that interdependence is about two independent forces coming together, which means one has to attain a level of independence so that they can join another independent person to create interdependence. But in a state whereby there's one which is not independent and is dependent, then there can never be any state of interdependence. So here, in this case, when it says that the state is therefore founded upon an interdependence of men, that is mean that it's then founded upon men who are independent, but then subdue their independence to form a bigger goal of collaboration and cooperation so that they can work together within the forces of equals to create a bigger goal. How do you find that in here?
Okay, so since in this context, it was the Greek society and they had the aristocrats who are independent, they had their freedom, and the slaves that didn't have their freedom. I think for me, that last sentence, it says that these three men, the aristocrats, were the ones that could create this interdependence to work towards the common goal of a state. So already there's no egalitarianism there because the slaves, they have no say in the state, but it's the three independent men
Mm,
that can
mm.
build a state. Is that what Africa wants?
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to run to. So it means those who are dependent could not then join the forces of interdependence. For the forces of interdependence were about those who are independent on their own, which means they're equals. And therefore, those who are not equal in the same measurement of what Aristotle has been saying were not part of this ultimate unity that is founded here.
Yes,
That's
the
how I
thieves.
see it.
Yeah, the
That's how I
thieves.
see it. Yes.
Yeah, the thieves. Those who are the thieves. Yeah, that's what they are. The thieves.
Allow me to give an example in this real life for our brothers and sisters on Turtle Island. When that Turtle Island was formed as a state, which the Euro-Americans called USA, they were still in chains. Then, like any dominant power, it just assumes consent. By the time they were free, the state was already formed. And some of the constitution even the constitution is a bit anti our brothers and sisters. So, are they equal? Is that an egalitarian society?
Sorry,
it is
by
the
title.
men.
Sorry, Samara.
It is the men that created that state, not our brothers and sisters.
Sister Mara, you mean Turtle Island? You mean America?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's an example from
But then
now.
doesn't America then give us one of the best examples? I mean, it's called the United States of America. So, so in the sense in which you've just explained, we know that there were certain groups that were not part of the United States of America. They were in those states, but they were never. They were not even in the Constitution of the United States of America. So here we have Aristotle right in front of us. They had to amend the Constitution.
Yes, that's it. Thank you, Brother Pigeon.
Thank you. Brother Kama, I know you are saying your internet has an issue. Then we also left only with Elder Sam. I'll bring Elder last, not out of disrespect, but out of wisdom. Brother Kama, are you able to share your thinking? Yes.
And don't forget, Brother Abdullah is also here, Brother Pigeon.
He had notified us that he may not be able to speak, but I will still get back to him.
No, that's fine.
Brother Kama?
Actually, I was interested in you trying to explain what interdependence means. Because as I look at the statement, I don't think that is how the situation is now, the status quo, you know. Because I think this was written at the time of conquest, when, you know, an individual powerful with his army would go into a territory, conquer, and then he becomes everything. He becomes the law himself. He becomes, because, you know, the experience I have now, having worked for the civil service, it's totally different. There's a big difference between government and the state, a big one. Because, you know, government is defined, in my understanding from the training I had, is defined as a group of politicians, you know, that are given the mandate to run the affairs of the state. You know, these are politicians that come with manifestos. But for it to work very well, these manifestos should fit in the state institution, because these institutions are run, they have codes of conduct. So the politicians, as they come in, they should fit in the institutions that will never go, because governments come and go. These politicians, they come and go.
But come on, we don't want to fit in. Come on, we don't want to fit in. We want to overthrow the state. We want to overthrow the state.
Unfortunately, I give an example. The institution I've worked in, the police, you know, we're talking of good governance, respect to human rights. You know, the experiences I've had is that, you know, the politicians would want to override, you know, that you make a decision that actually will please them. But when my code of conduct tell me this is the way I should go, because as I act in any way I act, I should remember that the governor, the good governor, I should protect an individual's rights and freedoms, So, in my view, when you look at the state are these government institutions like Minister of Education, Minister of Health, the police, Zambia Army, all these guys, they have, their code of conduct, how they need to operate. And actually, what we used to do is that we would even advise the politicians, this is not the way, we are supposed to work. I know you have this interest, but, this is the way things must go. I don't know if I make sense.
Brother Kama,
I think I'm done. I can't get you.
I really, Brother Kama, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can now.
You are really now bringing
yes, I can now.
You are bringing now a government as a different entity to a state, and you're saying a government is made up of politicians who can still then be defined as men or individuals. Or do you now think that?
Yeah, that's where the individuality.
So then,
that's where the individuality comes in, because these guys come with the same mindset. They have a manifesto, by the way. Like it happens in Zambia, they have a manifesto. When you get into government, this is what we intend, to achieve. But their manifesto should be in tandem with the state institutions.
So, Brother
unless
Kama,
they change the laws and the guidelines.
So, Brother Kama, to you then, maybe this individual Aristotle is talking about here is now a politician.
Yes,
and this man here is the state.
I lost you. My network, I lost you. Sorry.
No, I'm saying, according to your analysis, now individuals, probably Aristotle is referring to here, are now the politicians. And the men,
because
in the first place, is the state.
The state are civil servants. The state are civil servants.
Are those civil servants not individuals, or they are called men in your definition?
No. Those are not individuals because they have a code of conduct.
Politicians have code of conduct.
They're institutions. Politicians don't have a code of conduct. They'll tell you this is a different thing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I tend to be having some spirit. Here is a politician and a statesman. So the two men meeting together to try to analyze the text.
You see, Brother Kama has brought out some of the nuances in our discussion. And I go by what Sister Ida said earlier, which is that in the end, it's either one man or a group of men trying to just pursue their own goals. It's not about the people, it's not about even the state. And as Brother Kama has said, the state itself, sometimes the politicians do not go against even the state itself. And in any case, we as conscientists are not interested in the new colonial state. In fact, we want to get rid of it. So that is what it is. Now, the state here in the last paragraph, if we put the word neo-colonial between the and the state in the last sentence, then it will read, the neo-colonial state is therefore founded upon an interdependence of imperialists, men pursuing the same ultimate goal, which is to continue to steal our resources, to decimate Africa, to leave us poor, and so on and so forth.
So they have a highest good.
Yes, their highest good is to continue to keep Africa where it is.
Here's my argument.
Yes.
You find that, the way the state is designed, believe you me, if these politicians followed the way the state is designed free of corruption, professionalism, and all those things, would actually live a better life. But, they don't follow how the state is and how the state is structured. That is the problem. Because, this is a group of individuals that come with an agreement of what they're going to do. So what we see them do, this is what they decided, what they were fighting for them to be in government. Not that they come and protect the state institutions. No. They're coming to do what they agreed, either to steal, or to destroy, whatever they, to their own advantage. That's what I saw myself. That's the experience I've had. If these politicians came to work the way the state is supposed to work, believe you me, we'll not have problems. And we hope to find such leaders in the future.
Elder Sam, you've lived some long time to see these men in the state and government. But as I bring you in, Elder Sam, for you to share your thinking with us, I've noticed that there are two words that have been used commonly here. In the first place, in the first line, there's a word of common goal. Then there's highest good. And common goal repeated again, followed by highest good. And then there's an ultimate goal. So is the common goal the ultimate goal? And is the common goal the highest good? Anyway, so Elder Sam, please come in.
Evening, brothers and sisters. Yeah, Brother Pigeon, I think the discussion has been lively, and I really enjoyed it. But in coming to what you are saying, the bottom line for me is what Brother Kwame has said. We cannot divorce this paragraph with what we have read previously. So the issue here is the state turning to Aristotle's to try and justify the way they rule and continue dominating the affairs of a country. So in this case, we need to question ourselves. And my problem is, we have already said this man is a thief. He stole from us. So, but the question is, do we see this usage, exactly what you just said now, interchangeably of words, similar words, and changing the tone from here and there? Do we see it as a mere fact of somebody who did not actually is the originator of this theory or philosophy, that confirms he has stolen this? That's why he cannot completely go with it in all directions without interchangeably changing concepts here and there? Or is it a question of a philosopher who is tricking the people around him to come and be convinced in what he's saying? And this is what they say, using smart words to keep people confused all the time. And this is exactly what we are viewing in our situation. I will bring the situation here in South Africa. We fought a liberation struggle on the basis that the people, the African majority, will be freed and enjoy freedom. 30 years down the line, we still don't have that majority of people. In fact, we are the most unequal society. But the ruling party, having lost the election, have used a new theory, a new philosophy, or a new approach called the government of national unity, something that we never had. And you know what is the essence of that? Taking 5 ministers from the ruling party and making them deputy ministers, and taking 5 former political opposition parties and making them ministers. And now the people are told this is a new government. It will bring the goods that the ANC has failed to produce in 30 years. This is exactly what Aristotle is doing here about the whole situation about the state. So for me, this philosophic way, I'm questioning this. Is it because he didn't own these theories, because he stole them, or he is just smart interchanging words to confuse the society? Thank you.
Brother Kwame. This is why we need to hear from everyone. I mean, I didn't see it the way Brother Sam was seeing it, but from what we are reading, what we know of Aristotle, it will appear that that may be what he's doing. So because the ultimate goal cannot always be the highest good. So an example that Brother Sam has given us, you have a group of politicians who they must be pursuing some ultimate goal, which is what the government of national unity is about. But is it the highest good for South African society? And what Brother Sam is saying, no. So you can have a group of individuals or men, union of individuals, call it the government of national unity, who are pursuing a common goal. They are cooperating, but their purpose is not the highest good for the whole society. So yeah.
But it's their ultimate goal.
Well, from what Brother Sam is saying, we doubt that very much. So after 30 years with GNU, what would they tell us next? Then they'll come up with new words, which is what Brother Sam is saying. Aristotle is done here. They'll come up with a new word. Maybe, I don't know, maybe government of what? Government of national, international unity.
No, ours is called broad-based government. Now it's a new
something
term.
like that. So they'll come up with new words that mean nothing, but with the same game being played to steal from the people.
It came from handshake government in the previous regime to a broad-based government in this regime. And basically, the political attitude and temperature is that because individuals from this side have been brought to join this side, then therefore it's a broad-based government. Or because individuals from that side have been brought to this side, therefore it's a government of national unity. So the unity of a nation is only based on individuals who then perceive to be politicians who control the nation. While in reality, the unity of the general nation, if you look at the perception, the unity of people of South Africa might not be based on the unity of a few number of politicians. So by one party bringing one politician from this side, then assumes that then define the unity of a whole population is a fallacy they have been applying in this country and other countries as well. So then I think then it fits well with the union of individuals. It's not actually the general goal.
You see, this is why I was saying that what Sister Ida threw out for me was incisive, because could it be that that's what Aristotle is telling us, which is what Brother Sam also alluded to, that actually when you see any state, is actually a group of individuals just pursuing their common goal. It's not about the highest good. And that's what this is all about. And so then the question is, what shall we do different?
Let me now bring the political angle here, as I also share my thinking before I leave it to you, Brother Kwame, to also share your thinking. Unless anybody want to share their thinking as well, I've gone through the list. Brother Elder Glenn has said that he's not close to his laptop for now. So permit me to share my thinking in regards to this. One is actually this union of individuals. And as we are coming it very clearly, Aristotle insists that a state is a union of individuals. These individuals do not mean every individual, but a union of maybe particularly a specific group of individuals uniting. But then they unite for what he calls common goal. And that common goal, they achieve it through what they call their cooperative action. The cooperative action of this individual. Now look at it. For individual to cooperate, it means their individual goals and then actually combine to make a common goal for all of them, which means they either decide that this is our common goal as individuals. And he says that it has for its purpose the pursuit of the highest good. And that highest good is actually the highest good for every individual who is a member of that union. So it's the highest good of every individual in the membership of this union, and which then becomes their common goal. So can common goal be the highest of each individual? Because then I know that each individual might have their different personal interest. And I don't think that each individual's highest goal is same. But then this shows that then there's a group of individuals who have same highest goal. Either the goal to plunder, loot, because you see, the goal of capitalists is same, to make their capital and interest. And either the goal of socialists is also the same, to make a social society and something like that. But this is what else I'm reading here. But he says again, men, he however said, are not the same. Now he understands that these men are not the same. But then he says that these men can then make same common goal and pursue same highest good. This is now where I get the contradiction coming in from his text. And then he said that men are not the same and do not perform the same function in the pursuit of this common goal. So, for example, I look at our society, for example. If this grouping were to be made up of a farmer, a security guard, a teacher, and a doctor, what will be this common goal for all of them? Because the goal of a farmer is to make more yield for his farm. The goal of a doctor is to make more, either more lives good or either to make more salary out of those who are patients or sick. The goal of a teacher is to teach more bright students or get more salary for themselves. Can those goals be the same? And how will the teacher then play the ultimate part of his own responsibility in attaining this common goal? And therefore, I believe this structure of union of people defined in this group may not be the function of various people in a society, like teachers, union, doctors coming together to make a union. These are just union of either economists or people who have their own economic interest and then can pursue that interest together. For example, there's a one who can be a banker, one who want to be a manager of a company, one who want to supply the tender for a government, one who want either to repair the government vehicles, one who want to do whatever. So then they're working together to ensure that they unite to plunder us. But the question is, if they can attain their union to destroy a society, then do that not call for our union to also bring them down? Then the last part I'm getting is that at the same time, no man by his single exertion brings about the highest good. It's true, it calls for more of cooperation, but then cooperation of the highest good. Some people do ask, is evil wrong? And some say evil is wrong to those who don't find it evil, those who see like it's evil, but those who pursue it, it's not wrong for them. So people can still unite for their evil purpose, and to them, that will be their highest good. And that good, as Brother Kwame has also said, may not be the good for the general society. And then the last part is that the state is therefore founded. He's trying to talk all these things he say up here, then now he comes to a conclusion that based on whatever he has said, the state is therefore founded upon an interdependence of men pursuing the same ultimate goal. Maybe that's why, because some of our states were founded. Maybe we don't know, so we expect too much from them. And then, in this foundation of a state, are all men part of it? Women, persons with disability, or only specific men with specific interests? And that's why maybe these neo-colonial states are states we are having cannot function for the common good, but it works perfectly because it has produced billionaires and trillionaires in the continent, where there are also so many poor people who are living in the same continent. So that is my thinking in regards to this. Brother Kwame.
Yeah, no. So yes, Brother Pigeon. So yes, so yes, so the state as it is not working for us in Africa. It's not to say that it can't work for us. As you yourself have said or presented to us in the past, in one of our Saturday meetings, democracy as it is defined, if it is practiced, it will work. The reason it's not working is because the principles of democracy as defined is not what the practice is. So the problem is with the practice. And Brother Carrington made a similar remark, that the principle that Aristotle is laying out here is correct, but it is the practice that is wrong. And so it could be that when we see a state today, that state is not pursuing the highest good for everyone. How do you define the highest good? Well, you can define it in different ways, but one way you can define the highest good could be that there must be a minimum standard of life for everyone in that society. Gaddafi was mentioned by, I think, Sister Ida. However much you like or dislike Gaddafi, as I understand it, there was certain minimums that all citizens of Libya enjoyed. As long as you're a citizen of Libya, there was a basic minimum that everyone enjoyed, like education. Everyone must go to school and so on and so forth. So the highest good can be defined in a way that benefits everyone. Now, in terms of my own personal contribution, in terms of what we've read, I will endorse what Brother Sam said earlier as well, what Sister Mara said, what everyone said, to say that we are reading someone who did not originate the works that he said to be sharing with us. That these works are works that his protege, Alexander, I call him the thief, some call him the great, stole from the libraries of Alexandria, and which Aristotle, put his name on. He's a plagiarizer. He plagiarized the document, and so on and so forth. And so what we are reading, although it sounds beautiful, Brother Carrington loves it, it's okay to love it. But if we look at our African situation, it doesn't accord with our African situation. What do I mean? Well, I mean that Aristotle's conceived the state as a union of individuals pursuing a common goal through cooperative action. But then if you look at the realities of neocolonialism in Africa today, that is a stark contrast. Aristotle claims that the state exists for the purpose of achieving the highest good and enabling its citizens to live well. Yeah, he argues that the state is not merely an aggregation of individuals, but a kind of partnership aimed at the common good, what he calls the highest good and justice. And so what we are reading is as if he's putting before us an ideal, envisioning a harmonious society where citizens work together towards shared prosperity and virtue. Is that what we are seeing in Africa? What's the current situation in many African nations? We are all under neocolonialism, and it diverges significantly from what we are reading from Aristotle. Instead of cooperation towards a common goal, what do we see? We see economic exploitation by multinational corporations. Congo is one of the worst. Nkrumah wrote a book on that, The Challenge of the Congo. Let's look at what is happening in Congo. Children, women, and the way they are being treated. Children are not in school. Instead of being in school, they are in mines, day in, day out. Aeroplanes land, we are told, in the middle of the night, in the middle of nowhere, and they fly out with our minerals, our resources, and so on and so forth, with the complicity of our local elites. There's extraction of resources without fair compensation. In the AES, the Sahelian states, we see this coming to the fore, where they have challenged the French, that look, you can't continue to mine our resources and give us almost nothing for it. There is perpetuation of poverty and the lack of economic rights. Africa as a whole is marginalized in global decision-making processes. Mugabe has said, we have asked and asked and asked, the Security Council, reform it, but we are just ignored. So these realities for me reflect a system where the highest good is not pursued collectively at all, but rather external actors and local elites prioritize their own interests. That's what Kama was telling us. Brother Kama made it very clear. They prioritize their own interest over those of the broader population. You see, so Aristotle's view that men are not the same and perform different functions in pursuit of their common goal, well, it could be used to justify inequality, and we see that in Palestine and what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians, the apartheid state. We could also argue that where the interdependence and the inability of any individual to achieve the highest good alone suggests that, well, maybe we should work together and that we should address in systematic inequalities. So in terms of why we are reading what we are reading, which is the Pan-African philosophy, in terms of where Africa should go, the challenge for us today is to reclaim agency in defining and pursuing our own highest good. So what is our highest good as Africans? So if I ask us all here today, What is our highest good? Shall we all agree on the same thing? Will Sister Myra, Sister Ida, Sister Tapua, Brother Kama, Brother Sam, Brother Glenroy, do we all think that we all agree on the same thing? That okay, this is our highest good, or do we think there will be differences? It's just a question. You see, so we have to reclaim agency, and this requires reimagining governance structures, economic relationships, and international partnerships to better align with the needs and aspirations of the African people. So that is my view on the text. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Komi. We are 4 minutes to the end of the class. Anybody who want to make a short thinking, we don't want to lock you. Maybe if there's something you want to still say, feel free, because you have some 3 minutes to the end. Anybody who feel that there's something they want to contribute still before we end today, this session for today? Okay.
I've shared our highest good in the chat there.
So do we agree that we have come to a common goal? We have attained our highest goal. Anyway, thank you.
Our highest goal is to be free to work, free to produce, free to consume, and free to invest as we please, meaning we have access to our resources.
Okay, so Brother Kama, the way I understand it is that you are asking us, I mean, I raise a question, maybe that's something we have to look at. Can we arrive at what we think is the highest good for Africa? Can we define something like that all of us can buy into? And I'll extend it to the Pan-African organizations, all of them. Can we all sign a document and say, this is what we think is the highest good for Africa, and this is what we should all be pursuing? It's just a question.
Yeah, and alongside what you are raising, can we then agree on what's our common goal? Because unity starts by having a common goal. But you see, our unity as for their unity and their union, our unity as Pan-Africans, our unity as neo-colonial states haven't been achieved or attained, maybe because we have not been able to come together to agree on what is our common goal and what is our highest goal.
Brother Pigeon, it's the other way around. The goal comes from the highest good. The highest good is, if for Aristotle, was eudaimonia, which is a life of virtue, and so on. So the African has to define what is the highest good for the African. What is the purpose of life, if you like, for the African? Why should we live? What is the ultimate good for which we live? And then, in the light of that ultimate good, we then set goals for ourselves. Okay, in the next 10 years, in the next 2 years, we'll achieve this. In the next 5 years, we'll achieve this. So the goals are, or ought to be, defined by the highest good.
If I throw it back, thank you, as we are ending this, then if we can attain our highest goal, then we can agree on our common goal towards achieving that highest goal.
But Brother Pigeon, it may be that it is unachievable, but that's not the point. Yeah. The point is that it is like, that is what we think the highest good is, whether it's achievable or not. Yeah. So those who give collections in church, they give it for the highest. For them, the highest good is to live with Jesus in the kingdom of God. Yeah. Although they'll be dead, so they can never know whether they will do that or not. But that is the highest good. Yeah. So but the point is that in light of the highest good, we then define the goals that we want. And the question is, Africa has three, if you like, three main cultural groups. There is the Islamic Africans, then there are the Christian Africans, And then there are traditional Africans like myself, even though my name is Christian. Yeah. Now the question is, can we all together have the same definition of the highest good? And then we then agree on how we pursue it. Anyway, the time is 8 o'clock, Brother Pigeon.
Yeah, thank you. I think that then inform a part of our Saturday conversation. If we can be able to put this forth to our Saturday conversation on the unification, if we can attend this. Once again, thank you all, comrades, for attending this. I had challenges with the power. In fact, I had to go to the neighborhood just to seek to be seek some refuge to have this class. But thank you all for attending this class for today and for your continuous presence and your attendance. In fact, you are part of the union or the unity that keeps us moving. So we look forward to our class next week. And this Saturday we are hearing, or we are having our sister from the ancient society or ancient society. There is a conversation still on the economics. We are looking at what they are doing in terms of their blockchain and the economics of the continent. And we welcome all of you to join us in that. It will be a lively conversation as well. To those who have joined economics, now this will be the third part. Part 1 from the United Blockchain Association, part 2 from Brother Cam on crypto mining, and part 3 will be from our sister from Ancient Society. So we'll give information and communication in regards to this, but let's look forward to Saturday meeting. And also, let's look forward to the next Thursday to continue this. All the recordings so far have been available on our YouTube channel. And I've realized people participate and ask questions there as well. We encourage you to share that and also to share your comments with us. So without further ado, permit me to thank you all and maybe bring this meeting to an end at this juncture. Thank you. Brother Kwame?
Yeah, that's it for me. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
all very
brother.
much. Thank you.
Ladies,
Bye-bye.
keep well.
Bye-bye.
Keep well.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night, Sister Ina.